Hello, everybody. I'm Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Diwali, whatever holiday or special day you celebrate on. Merry that to you. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Christian Anarchist. Now, for those who don't know, Christian Anarchist made a video about Universalist, and as somebody who counts as a Universalist, I was very interested in what he had to say. So, with that said, let's see. I'm going to see for argument's sake that I've not looked at this video before because I wanted to come to it fresh. But with that said, here we are.
Christian Anarchist here, and today I decided to do a serious video concerning the topic of universalism and how you can easily refute that. Now, the one thing I will always tell people is if they want to easily refute this, they could go to the Book of Revelations, which goes into detail about the concepts of the eternal punishment and the revelation that is to come.
Okay, you mean Revelation. The Revelation of St. John. Right. The Revelation of St. John is about the war, I believe it was the second war of the Jews in Asia Minor. I believe that's what Revelation was about. It is not about the eternal punishment, nor is it about. Now, when it talks about the lake of fire, it's actually talking about the fire pits that were thrown at the Jews during the War of Asia Minor. It is not talking about some sort of punishment that is there forever for people to be thrown into. Again, what happens to people when they die is known to God. Now, again, there are people who disagree with this, but again, they're wrong, and I'll get into why in a moment. But I'll let you.
So, if you ever get a chance, check that book out, of course, and recommend any other universalist you meet to read that book and see if they can get something out of it. Not just snippets, read the entire book in its entire context. Matthew 25, starting at verse 31 through 46 is where you should read. I don't have enough time to read all of it now, so just keep that in mind that that's where you're going to have to check out if you want to understand what it is I'm getting at.
Okay, I will read it. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as shepherd divideth his sheep from goats, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. And then shall the king say unto them on the right hand, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, ye gave me meat. When I was thirsty, ye gave me drink. When I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, shall we thee hungered and feed thee, and are thirsty, then thee drink? And when we saw thee a stranger, took thee, or naked, or clothed thee, or when we thee sick or in prison, come unto thee. And the king shall answer and say unto thee, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done to me, unto you do at least unto my brethren, and ye have done it unto me. And then shall he say unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into the everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and ye gave me not meat, and I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye me not took in. Naked, ye clothed me not. Sick and in prison, ye visited me not. They shall say unto him, Lord, when we say unto thee, and hungry to thee, and thirsty, or a stranger, and naked, or did not minister unto thee? And they shall say, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did not do it to the least of these, ye did it not to me. And these shall go away to live as punishment, but the righteous into everlasting eternal life. You mean that bit? Now, what that bit is actually about, I know it's weird to talk about context, is actually about if you look, for example, earlier on, it is giving on how to behave as a Christian. It is not saying that those who are atheists or whoever else are going to hell. Nor does it say there is a strict type of people who go to hell. Because I doubt that there's many people who would not do many of these things. It's given a good example of how to act to other people and why that is a good thing to do. That you're basically inheriting the kingdom of God. It is not saying that you're going to go to hell. That isn't what it's going to say. It's basically saying that you're inheriting a Gehenna, which was again a pagan fire pit, which is indicative of the pagan ideology of me, not us. And that's what this is talking about. It is not talking about a eternity in sort of fire spit in hell.
So, within the context of this passage, Jesus is talking about when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided the sheep from the goats. Now keep in mind, sheep from goats and shepherd are the key words here. Jesus is referred to as the shepherd, and his sheep are his people. Sheep, his followers. So basically, the Christians, the saved, are the sheep that follow. The goats, on the other hand, are being represented as the non-believers, and we'll get more into that in a second. And here's how he divides them. You shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. So the sheep are on the right hand, and goats are on the left. Normally, there's other parallels where it talks about God using his right hand to hold up his people that are going to be with him in heaven. So, just make sure to keep in mind that we have parallels concerning the right hand and the sheep and his people.
So, if you actually read those passages in context, you understand that what is actually going on is that the left hand and the right hand work in unison, that the left hand sometimes needs help from the right hand, and the right hand needs help from the left hand. But again, the idea of left being sinful, again, it comes from the idea of sinister. Everyone knows that the sinister means the left hand. Now, again, doesn't mean that it's any less righteous or indeed what it's talking about is separation. And again, this idea of separation is about those who are unjust and how they treat the least among us first, and how the people on the righteous side need to help them out to do that. That's what it's actually about. It's not about condemning people to an eternal fire of hell.
Then shall the king say unto them unto the right hand, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. This is also referring to the sense that before we came into this existence, God knew us, and he had set this place up for us. And this is where then Jesus was, of course, predicting that he would die for us, and we would be saved if we follow him. And that's the thing we have to keep in mind. Through Christ is the only way to salvation.
Okay, but he already died and we are already saved, so why does he need to... Why there are people being separated? Again, you're pointing that salvation only applies to a certain set of group of people, and you're diminishing the actual thing he did to save everybody. He saved everybody. He did not save everybody just so that people could just have the label Christian and therefore be saved. You know, he came to save everybody. Again, and this is the thing that annoys me, is that we're putting a blockade. We're putting a blockade that should not exist, that does not exist between man and God, between man and Christ. But we put it there because we want people to be what? Christians, Calvinists. I don't care whether people are Christians or not. I care whether they're good people, and if they're fulfilling what Christ actually wants us to do in this planet, I don't care whether they're atheists, Christians, Shintoists, whatever. As long as they're good people and living up to what Christ said, that's what I care about. And that's what it makes them righteous. It does not make them righteous just because they have the term Christian in their religious affiliation box.
There is no getting around the fact that you can believe in any other gods or no gods and still be saved. It comes down to contradicting what God says in the rest of his word. But that was in verse 34. And on verse 41, he says, Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Now, some people have tried to say this just means, oh, it's for the devil and his angels. This just means the demons. And this is not talking about human beings. This is referring to those.
Actually, reasonable scholars will say that this actually refers to ill deeds, especially when you consider what Gehenna actually was referring to, which is the fire bit and the ill deeds that people had done, and that the clothing being thrown into fire was them purging themselves of their ill deeds they do. That's what the whole thing was about. It is not about people being thrown into a literal fire pit of hell.
Who don't believe, who are not of God, who are not of his people. And the way he identifies this, the Bible anyways, the way it identifies this is that it goes into detail by saying that if you do these certain things and you don't repent of them, then you are of your father, the devil. So, if you are of your father, the devil, you would rather follow your father, be obedient to your father, and have him as your father over God. So, when we have a clear consideration that the people who are on the left, the non-believers, are sent to
that contradicts the Good Samaritan story, and contradicts numerous things that Jesus said in the rest of the Bible, where he says that anybody can be saved through me. That again, that as long as somebody does righteous things, as long as people do righteous deeds by their brother, that they do with them in my name, even if they do not know me. He says that directly in the book itself. He does not say expressly that people who do not believe are going to hell. He's talking about people who do things that are bad. He's talking about those who do ill things and how they will be purged from them at the day of judgment. He's not talking about, for example, people who are atheists or people who are Muslim, for example, or Hindus, and talking about how they'll be fit into pit of hell. Where is where is that context apparent? It isn't. You're just digging into it because you are trying to persuade people who aren't Christians to go to hell by basically doing a Pascal's wager for them, which probably isn't going to work.
Everlasting fire, eternal punishment, hell, that has to be a clear sign that universalism is refuted. And that in 34, for those come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. That's for the believers. That's for those who believe in Jesus Christ. Now, one of the most commonly passages that will be used by some to justify this is also the most very common John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. By the way, that was verse 17. And notice the qualifying. But that the world through him might be saved.
Now, again, where does he actually say that atheists are going to hell? Where does he actually say that? Now, nowhere does Jesus actually say that. Numerous times does he say that all are saved, that he's come to save all mankind. He doesn't put any qualifiers on it. He doesn't say, well, I've come to save all mankind, but only if they had the label Christian on their religious affiliation. Nowhere does he come to say that he's just come to a small pocket, because you've got to remember that Christians now, Christians have only ever been, not exactly all of the world's population. We've never been the world's population. So he's just come to support a small pocket of the world's population, not all of us, not the how many billion people live on the planet at the moment, but just a small pocket of it. It just seems very limiting to me that Christ would do that. That a person who's about loving your neighbour, about spreading peace, about spreading love, and then puts a blockade between himself and mankind just doesn't ring true for the rest of the message that is in the gospel. I find that very worrying and very troubling interpretation of, indeed, this passage, which is about people's ill deeds and being separated from them, and one's good deeds coming through when through the ideas of Christ. But again, that's what's going on here.
And then verse 18, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this, verse 19, and this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil.
So he's talking about people's evil deeds again. Where do atheists or people who are Hindus or whoever do evil deeds? Where do they? I mean, most people, no matter what they believe, this is what I truly believe, morally want to do the right thing. Whether it's for God's sake or whether it's for their own, whether it's for their family's sake or whatever. I think most people are good on the face of things. I mean, I know there are people who are going to challenge me on that, but that's what I personally believe. So where does it say that atheists are definitely going to hell? It doesn't. All it says is that those who do not believe in the ideas of Christ, which again are the ideas of charity. I'm pretty damn sure that atheists believe in charity. And the ideas of treating people fairly. I'm pretty sure that most atheists are in favour of treating people with charity, fairly. The ideas of treating people with love, with kindness, with stuff like that. Now there are some atheists who do not do that, and we should condemn them for doing that. And that's the sort of condemnation he's talking about, that we condemn them as human beings. He's not talking about them being thrown into a lake of fire and burnt for all eternity. That isn't what he's talking about.
So, just think about that, and how universalism is refuted easily within these passages. Shalom.
And that was the end of that. Now, Christian Anarchist, you may want to reevaluate your idea of universalism. Because again, universalism hasn't been refuted. Because again, I've had I've had Ryan Campbell, I've had Bible Flipping Window, I've had Matt Slick, I've had all these people who've said that universalism isn't a Christian idea and it's anti-biblical and blah blah blah, but none of them have ever been able to prove it. And again, they always take these passages and they always take them out of context, in that they don't understand what the context of the New Testament is, nor what the context of what Jesus was talking about. Not the ideas that Jesus actually espoused in his four canonical Gospels, all of the ideas that Paul supported, or indeed that Acts supported. So again, cherry picking you want to support your idea is wrong. Taking the whole thing in context is right. Now, I would like you to do that and then point me out to like a thing in context which points to that atheists or whoever, Hindus, whoever, are going to hell. Definitively going to hell. The only people Jesus outright condemns, are the Pharisees in the entire Bible. He never condemns atheists, he never condemns anybody else. All he condemns is the Pharisees for doing wrong things to people, being a nest of vipers, for turning brothers against brothers, blah blah blah. Those are the only people he condemns. So if you're so sure that atheists are going to hell and all this stuff, why did he not do anything about it at the time? Surely they could need his help more than the tax collectors and the people doing the sinning and whatever sin they were doing. That's the sort of people Jesus helped, and he didn't condemn them. He helped them. He talked to them, and like all the people were talking about this. And this is something that I don't think a lot of evangelicals like to talk about, because it's something awkward that they like to avoid, which is that Jesus himself never condemned anybody who wasn't a bad person. What he did is he tried to understand them and grow to love them, as he did with sinners. So I want to ask you this question, and it's a serious question, which is, if atheists and sinners are all going to hell, then why did Jesus spend any time with them? That's a thought. Phoneybeetlemaniacxs, 4 dreams make a true, out.